What happened to Traffic? Steve Winwood first attracted attention when at the age of 15, he and his older brother Muff formed a band in their native Birmingham, England, with Spencer Davis and Pete York, eventually calling themselves the Spencer Davis Group. They were signed by record executive Chris Blackwell, founder of Island Records, and began recording in 1964. As the band's vocalist, Winwood received the lion's share of attention, and by the time he and his brother quit the group in April 1967, the Spencer Davis Group had amassed 4 top 10 singles and 3 top 10 albums in the UK, with 2 of those singles also reaching the top 10 in the US. Still not yet 19 years old, Winwood formed Traffic with 3 22-year-old friends who had played in lesser-known bands: drummer-singer Jim Capaldi, singer-guitarist Mason, and Wood. In the spirit of the times, and despite Winwood's prominence, the group was intended to be cooperative, with the members living together in a country cottage and collaborating on their songs. Blackwell quickly signed them and released their debut single, Paper Sun, which peaked in the UK top 5 in July 1967, and also spent several weeks in the lower reaches of the charts in America, where Blackwell licensed it to United Artists, as he had with the Spencer Davis Group's recordings. Meanwhile, as Traffic recorded material for its debut album during the summer of 1967, its communal outlook was disrupted by Mason, who, unlike Winwood, who was a composer who needed help with lyrics and therefore tended towards collaboration, was capable of writing songs on his own and did so. The success of Paper Sun encouraged Blackwell to release a follow-up single quickly, and he chose Hole in My Shoe, written and sung by Mason, as the most likely candidate among the songs Traffic had recorded so far. It became an even bigger hit than Paper Sun, almost topping the British charts in October, but that didn't sit well with Winwood, who felt it was unrepresentative of the sound he wanted for Traffic. The group's third single was Here We Go Round the Mulberry Bush, the title song from a motion picture, which became their third British top 10 hit in December, the same month that their debut album, Mr. Fantasy, was released. It earned a top 10 ranking in January 1968, but by then Mason had left Traffic. A fourth single, No Face, No Name, No Number, culled from the album, made the British top 40 in March, the month that Traffic debuted as a live attraction in the US, where Mr. Fantasy, which was initially titled Heaven Is in Your Mind, reached the top 100 of the Billboard 200. Traffic faced challenges as a trio due to the absence of Dave Mason. Steve Winwood had to juggle multiple roles, including playing the bass pedals on the organ while performing. Additionally, Mason's songwriting contributions were missed, leading to difficulties in generating new material. Eventually, Mason rejoined the band, contributing significantly to their second album, Traffic. However, tensions led to Mason being fired during a US tour, and Winwood announced the breakup of Traffic in 1969. Despite this, their album was successful, and Winwood had contractual obligations for more albums, leading to the release of Last Exit in 1969, which also achieved success. Meanwhile, Capaldi and Wood rejoined Mason along with keyboardist Winder K. Frog in the short-lived band Wood and Frog, which never recorded anything, and Winwood teamed up with former Cream members Eric Clapton and Ginger Baker, as well as formerly Family member Rick Grech and Blind Faith. This highly talented supergroup made one album, Blind Faith, which topped the charts in the US and UK and played one American tour before breaking up. Still owing his record labels 2 albums, Winwood began work on a solo record in early 1970, but quickly brought it to Capaldi and Wood and turned it into a Traffic LP. John Barleycorn Must Die was released in June 1970, and in the US it was a gold-selling top 10 hit, and in the UK it reached the top 20. Embarking on the extensive touring, Traffic expanded its band, adding Rick Grech on bass, and in the spring of 1971, in anticipation of British and American touring, Drummer Jim Gordon, formerly of Derek and the Dominoes, was brought in, as was percussionist Rebop Kwaku Ba. Also joining for a handful of UK dates was Dave Mason, who had in the meantime become a solo star with his 1970 album Alone Together. The band was able to work off its contractual commitment with a live album from this lineup, Welcome to the Canteen, released in September. Although it failed to make the UK charts, it reached the top 40 in America. Re-signed Island, which began releasing albums in the US as well as the UK, Traffic quickly followed in November with the studio album The Low Spark of High-Heeled Boys, which reached the American top 10 and sold 1 million copies, though in an indication of the group's increasingly international focus, didn't even chart back home in Britain. A winter 1971-1972 tour was aborted by Winwood's poor health, which was later revealed to be peritonitis, and Greg and Gordon left the band while Capaldi recorded his debut solo album, Oh How We Dance, which reached the American Top 100. In the fall of 1972, with Winwood recovered, Traffic convened to record a new album, adding drummer Roger Hawkins and bassist David Hood, members of the studio band at the famed Muscle Shoals recording studio. Shootout at the Fantasy Factory, released in January 1973, reached the American Top 10 and went gold. The world tour that promoted it was chronicled on Traffic on the Road, released in October 1973. At the end of the tour, the Muscle Shoals musicians returned home, and Kwaku Ba also left Traffic, which recruited bassist Roscoe G. Capaldi released a second solo album, Whale Meet Again, in the summer of 1974. It's All Up to You Again from the album reached the UK Top 40. With Traffic, he recorded a new album, When the Eagle Flies, released in September. It was the band's fourth consecutive studio album to reach the American Top 10 and go gold, and the group toured to support it, but after the tour, Traffic quietly disbanded. With a head start on a solo career, Capaldi scored a top 5 hit in the UK in 1975 with a cover of Love Hurts from his third album, Shortcut Draw Blood. The single charted in the US, but lost out to a competing version by Nazareth. Along with former Santana drummer Michael Shreve, Winwood participated prominently in Japanese percussionist Tsutomu Yamashita's concept album Go, which made the top 100 in the US in 1976. In 1977, he finally made his solo bow, releasing the modestly successful album Steve Winwood. A 3.5-year silence ensued, broken by the 1980 release of Arc of a Diver, which hit the American Top 5 and went platinum, paced by the top 10 single While You See a Chance. 1982's Talking Back to the Night was a commercial disappointment, but Winwood had the greatest success of his career with 1986's Back in the High Life, a multi-million seller that threw off 4 top 20 singles, among them the chart-topping Higher Love. In 1987, Valerie, which was a remixed version of a song from Talking Back to the Night, hit the top 10. 1988's Roll With It was another multi-platinum seller for Winwood, with both the album and the title song topping the charts, but Refugees of the Heart from 1990 was less successful. In 1994, Winwood announced a reunion with Capaldi, but unfortunately Wood had passed away of liver failure, so they couldn't be a full reunion. But Capaldi continued to record solo albums with diminishing success, which is why they came together in '94. The two made a new album, Far From Home, and toured as Traffic during the summer. The album quickly reached the US and UK top 40 but did not sell well, and the tour also performed disappointingly, signaling another retirement of the Traffic name. Nevertheless, the 1967 to 1974 era band continued to enjoy significant status as a classic rock act, its albums earning CD reissues along with the release of compilations like Smiling Faces in 1991 and Feeling All Right, The Best of Traffic in 2000. Capaldi's death on January 28, 2005 appeared to put an end to the band. The crazy thing is that the craziest story of one of the band members wasn't even one of the main band members. If you remember the drummer Jim Gordon, who I talked about earlier, he used to be of Derek and the Dominos fame. In 1983, he attacked and killed his mother, claiming he was instructed by a voice due to undiagnosed schizophrenia. Despite his condition, he couldn't plead insanity due to changes in California law. He received a 16-year-to-life sentence and was repeatedly denied parole due to his refusal to attend hearings and his continued psychological issues. Despite being re-diagnosed with schizophrenia in 2017, he was denied parole again in 2018. He died in 2023 while serving his sentence in a psychiatric prison. In 2005, Winwood released a DVD of his downstage performance and collaborated with Ashley Cleveland and Christina Aguilera on their albums. He supported the Countryside Alliance in 2007 and performed with Eric Clapton at various events, releasing a collaboration EP in 2008. Winwood received an honorary doctorate in 2008 and continued to perform with Clapton, touring together in 2009. He participated in charity concerts and tours with Rod Stewart and Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers in subsequent years. In 2020, Winwood honored Ginger Baker at a tribute concert, and in 2023, he performed at the Coronation Concert at Windsor Castle. And in the summer of 2024, Steve Winwood's going to be the opening act for the Doobie Brothers at an amphitheater tour, so if you want to go see him, if you haven't seen him already, this summer you have an opportunity to, as he will be opening up for the Doobie Brothers. And that's what happened to Traffic. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. Give me some facts about the band that I failed to mention, and let me know who I should do next on the channel. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next video.